championship bound, baby! Woo! Big love, baby! Woo! The year, man. It got a little crazy out there, but we made it through.
We're gonna keep stacking the day, so see you in the championship.
Let's go!
June 17th wasn't just another night on the schedule, it was payback. Flashback to May 30th when Jacy Sheldon and the Connecticut Sun left Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson banged up on the floor. Their dirty tactics unchecked. The Fever didn't forget. So when Sheldon jabbed Caitlin Clark right in the eye during the rematch, something inside the team snapped. What came next proved exactly why you don't cross Clark's squad. Sophie Cunningham was about to unleash one of the most satisfying flagrant fouls you'll ever witness. If you're riding with the Fever, drop CC and Spicy Sophie in the comments. Let's roll.
It was chippy the last time these two teams faced off too. Sophie Cunningham suffered her ankle injury in that game, but in addition to that, she actually had part of her front tooth knocked out. She made contact with Jacy Sheldon as Caitlin Clark knocks down the triple.
But what people don't talk about enough is how hard you have to work to be able to be that good. All the hours that she's spent perfecting her craft.
Retreating, firing and hitting.
So she can do that.
On Indiana arguing the call.
I mean, step back, you're late. She almost looks you in the eye.
May 30th started out like any other regular season game. Indiana Fever squaring off against the Connecticut Sun, but things quickly spiraled out of control. The Sun brought a level of physical play that went way past competitive. From the opening minutes, the vibe was hostile and everyone in the arena could sense it.
Can we talk about the physicality for a second? Two players on the Indiana Fever got injured last night by the same player on the Connecticut Sun, and that was Jacy Sheldon. And I tweeted about it. She was playing so reckless. I'm fine with players playing aggressive, but there is a thin line between playing aggressive and playing reckless. When you dive for a ball, you don't land on somebody's leg. She landed on top of Sydney Colson's leg, and her leg got stuck and literally twisted around. Both injuries, both Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham, were contact injuries.
Sophie Cunningham was the first target, taking a shot that looked far too intentional. The hit was excessive, well beyond normal contact. Then Sydney Colson went down on another questionable play, leaving fans shaking their heads. And in both cases, Jacy Sheldon was right there in the thick of it, playing with an edge that crossed the line from tough to dirty.
They weren't non-contact. They weren't ACLs, they weren't Achilles, they were contact injuries caused by the same player. And this kind of physicality that the WNBA they brag about. They say it's always been a physical league. That's just the heart of the it's not good basketball. And we've seen so many injuries. Paige Becker's out with a concussion. Rakia Jackson was out with a concussion. All of these injuries are contact plays. We've seen Caitlin Clark last year get chucked to the ground. We saw Angel Reese get clothesline chucked to the ground. The players continue to do it because the refs are allowing them. Why wouldn't you keep doing it if you're a physical player?
And this wasn't just some random bad blood. Sheldon and Clark had been at it since college. Back when Iowa faced Ohio State, Sheldon's job seemed to be simple: make Clark miserable. She chased her everywhere, laid hard screens, talked trash nonstop. It was less about strategy and more about trying to break Clark mentally. That rivalry didn't vanish when they reached the WNBA.
Her mortal enemy took out a player. Jacy Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy, Jacy Sheldon.
On that May 30th night, the officials completely lost control. Obvious fouls went uncalled. Dangerous hits were ignored. Clark was forced to watch her teammates get battered while Sheldon skated by untouched. The Fever fought hard, but the damage was done. They fell 85-83 on the scoreboard. But worse, they lost Cunningham and Colson to injuries that could have been avoided if the referees had stepped in.
This is a reckless play. This is reckless. It is dangerous. And this angle makes it look even worse. It is dangerous. Like, Sid Colson is between her and the ball. Sid Colson is in fact between Jacy Sheldon and the ball, and she dives through her knee. It wasn't even called as a foul.
Worst part, Cunningham's hit wasn't even called a foul. Clark's glare in the handshake line told the story. Her clipped answers in the post-game press conference added fuel. This wasn't finished. The Fever filed it away, waiting for the rematch. Fast forward to June 17th. Clark returns from her quad injury, fresh off dropping the undefeated Liberty, and now she's staring down the sun again. From the way she carried herself onto the floor, it was clear this was more than just another game.
So, she just texts me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a three from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
Jacy Sheldon is there with her hand in her face.
Right from the opening tip, the tension was undeniable. Sheldon glued herself to Clark, hounding her with suffocating defense. She bumped her on cuts, leaned on her screens, and made every possession feel like a fight. It was the exact same reckless intensity that had left Cunningham and Carlson injured weeks earlier. Everyone watching knew something was about to give.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it, saying, hey, oh, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh. Then Marina steps in to protect Jacy.
And in the third quarter, it finally did. Clark brought the ball up the court with Sheldon pressing hard. Going for what looked like a steal, Sheldon's finger instead went directly into Clark's eye. The poke was sharp, obvious, and immediate. Clark's head snapped back as the crowd gasped.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon fouls Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
Clark clutched her face in pain, eyes watering, anger flaring. This wasn't just about the sting, it was about deja vu. The same player who hurt her teammates had now come straight for her. Instinct took over. Clark shoved Sheldon away, a reflex anyone would have after being poked in the eye. The crowd exploded in outrage. Everyone saw what happened, except the refs were about to make it worse.
Hey.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabrey. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like.
Clark was the clear victim, standing there in pain. But the officials blew their whistles, and not against Sheldon. They slapped Clark with a technical foul for pushing back. The arena erupted in disbelief. Replays on the big screen showed the eye poke in slow motion, but the refs wouldn't budge. Clark, who had already poured in 32 points in her second game back, was now punished for defending herself. The message was clear. Opponents could target her, and if she reacted, she'd pay the price. But this was only the start. Marina Mabrey was watching, and she was about to turn up the chaos.
Take another look as we try to figure out what exactly went down. So you see her get hit in the face. Jacy Sheldon doesn't like that, and everybody on the team doesn't like it. Marina, trying to have her teammates back, pushes her down. You see a little bit of drama all the way around. Tina, Charles, Clark, and Mabrey, they received technical fouls. Sheldon received a flagrant 1 foul.
Just moments later, Mabrey made her move, with Clark still reeling from the eye poke and the bogus technical. Mabrey took it upon herself to escalate. What she did next shocked the entire arena and pushed the game into full-blown controversy.
That's what Clark didn't like. And then Mabrey came in with a bump.
And Mabrey's day is almost assuredly going to be done. But both teams.
This wasn't normal basketball contact. It was flat-out assault. Marina Mabrey body-checked Caitlin Clark like it was a hockey game, not basketball. sending her crashing backward onto the court. The hit was so blatant and unnecessary that even casual fans immediately saw what had happened. Clark slammed to the floor hard, her face showing pure shock as she realized yet another Connecticut Sun player had taken a cheap shot at her.
And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, Jacy Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one, going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
Fever bench erupted after seeing their star attacked, right in front of the referees. Players pointed directly at Mabrey, yelling at the officials to step in. The crowd roared in disbelief, unable to believe this was happening on their home floor. Coach Stephanie White completely lost her composure on the sideline, screaming at the refs who continued to ignore what was happening. She waved her arms furiously, pointing at Mabrey, desperate to make them see this was far beyond standard contact. White knew Clark had been targeted again, and the officials were about to miss another call.
Now after this, you guys, of course, the referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact happening during this play, right? So the three referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over.
The referees only issued Mabrey a common technical foul, the same penalty Clark had received earlier for shoving a player after being eye-poked. Just think about that. Clark gets poked in the eye, pushes back, and earns a technical. Mabrey slams Clark to the ground, and it's the same punishment. The inconsistency was glaring, and everyone in the arena knew it.
The announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on Jacy Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And Jacy Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
In the post-game press conference, White completely unloaded. When referees don't control the game, when they allow this kind of stuff to keep happening, and it's been happening all season, this is what you get, she said. She had finally had enough after watching her players repeatedly targeted while the officials stood by and did nothing.
When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better.
By this point, the message was obvious. If the officials weren't going to protect Caitlin Clark, then her teammates would. Sophie Cunningham had been watching everything unfold from the bench, and she decided to make it clear that nobody touches her teammate without consequences. With under a minute left, the Fever up 87-70, Cunningham saw Jacy Sheldon with the ball. The game was already decided, but Sophie wasn't thinking about the score. She was thinking about May 30th when she got hurt, about Clark getting poked in the eye without justice, and about Mabrey slamming Clark to the floor.
So now let's talk about Sophie Cunningham. At the end of the game, Jacy Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like, it happened in a split second and I said, oh, let's see. Let's see what happens here.
Cunningham remembered that May game vividly. She remembered sitting on the bench injured while Sheldon kept playing like nothing had happened. She remembered the officials ignoring everything as her teammates kept taking hits. Now, with Sheldon attacking the rim, Sophie spotted her chance.
Sophie commits a hard foul on Jacy Sheldon. Again, as Jacy Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
Cunningham squared up Sheldon and delivered a hard, punishing foul. She wrapped her up and yanked her straight to the floor. This wasn't basketball, it was payback. It was justice. It was Sophie Cunningham sending a crystal clear message that no one bullies her teammates. The officials immediately assessed a flagrant 2 and ejected her. Sheldon and Lindsay Allen were also tossed for their involvement in the fight. 3 ejections later, the point was already made.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't gonna injure Jacy. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't gonna handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, Jacy Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and Jacy are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
Caitlin Clark still closed the night with 20 points and 6 assists, leading Indiana to an 88-71 win that felt much bigger than just another victory. Natasha Howard notched her 50th career double-double with 16 points and 12 rebounds, while Kelsey Mitchell poured in 17 more. It was a complete team effort, but everyone knew the real story.
A rare miss at the rim for Aaliyah Boston, the league's top field goal percentage shooter in the WNBA, but it's Boston who comes up with the steal and the find to Howard. Clark working on the rookie. Clark on the drive. Hang, shot too strong. There's Howard to clean up.
And Clark working off the ball, comes off the stagger.
Third year in her WNBA in terms of setting up her teammates. Clark behind the back, feed inside. 2 more for Howard.
This wasn't simply about beating the Sun. It was about the Fever proving they won't be bullied, won't be intimidated, and will always protect their own. The victory punched their ticket to the franchise's first Commissioner's Cup final. More importantly, it warned the rest of the league what happens when you target their players.
The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is gonna sell out tonight. She's gonna be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle and I don't think anybody wanted that.
21. This was revenge for that brutal May 30th loss. Clark finally got justice after being eye-poked and body-checked. Sophie Cunningham became a hero by standing tall when it mattered most. Sometimes officials won't protect you, but teammates always will. On June 17th, Indiana showed the basketball world they refused to back down from anyone.
Oh, and Clark just took it away. It's a 2-on-1. Clark, bounce pass, pretty fine, and Mitchell won't miss from there.
22. This game proved the Fever are more than just talented. They're a family that fights for one another when adversity hits. When referees fail, teammates like Sophie Cunningham step up to handle business. That's true loyalty in professional sports. Next up is the Commissioner's Cup final on July 1st against the Minnesota Lynx. And after seeing how this team responds to adversity and stands together, the future looks brighter than ever for Fever fans. Remember this when anyone says loyalty doesn't exist in sports. Sophie Cunningham proved it does. If you support the Fever, drop CC and Spicy Sophie in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit notifications so you never miss out.